All right. So, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Whereas normally on a regular live on any other platform, I'd stall for a few minutes while people came in. I'm just going to go ahead and cut to the chase so we can get into the meat of the topics. For anybody who has not joined me before, which is everybody on this platform, as this is my first live, I am Jacob Summers with A4T, which stands for All Four Things, Almost 40, and Art. So all of the things that I do wish to put on here, all four things being mind, body, heart, and soul. So what I want to do with these videos is really dive into things that we can use to make ourselves better human beings. And everybody who knows me knows that my bias is towards physical fitness and shit talk and reading. So I like to get perspectives from everybody else, and I know Nick's at least a couple of those things. But I also like to add in things that I've not heard of before, because this is me basically documenting my journey after I turned 39 a week ago to this next year of my life before I turned 40 and beyond. I won't die at that time. And
So
yeah,
we hope
yeah.
you don't die at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Let's knock on some wood. But diving back into all those things that I've been putting off diving into. And I'm not talking about diving into every random project that comes into my ADHD brain, but all those things that I should have made time for, as Thoreau put it, to really suck the marrow out of life and get to what's important. So, as such, here with me, I have the lovely, the bearded, the bespectacled, um,
Even the bejeweled now.
even the bejeweled
Even the bejeweled.
Nick Paro. Paro and I were in the military many moons ago together, and
Many decades ago.
here many decades ago. It's been at least a decade now. Um,
I
and
got out in 2017.
yeah,
Sorry,
I
I
can.
interrupted.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. I had to think. I got out 2015 or 2016. It was like right at the cusp at the end of the year type of
So
thing.
we're just about at a decade since we got out.
Yeah,
Dude, time flies, brother.
yeah, it has flown. Like I was told once, my brain's a seat. Okay, I'll have to read those when I'm not doing intros. But yeah, this is Nick. Nick is the host of his own show, which is the Sick of This Shit show, which I absolutely love the title of,
Thank you.
and also is a man of the letters, likes to write poetry. On his podcast, he addresses everything from injustices to political turmoil and, addressing gender stereotypes, as we were just talking about.
Yep.
But with that, I'll let him tell us a little bit more about himself. So, Nick, introduce yourself.
Hey, th thank you, one, Jake Summers. It's brother, it's been really good to reconnect with you. Thank you for coming on the platform. Thank you for being willing to join me on my side for a bit. So I'm Nick Paro. I'm an Army veteran. I'm a tech veteran, and I'm a trucking transportation industry veteran too at this point because I did that right after I got out of the Army. Um, I'm also a classically trained musician, and now I'm a poet. I'm also a father, married. I've been married for over a decade now. Just we celebrated our 10-year anniversary this year. I won't say anything about I don't talk about a lot about my kids or my wife, because I don't want to out them in any way. But I do have two kids. I have a boy and a girl, so I get to talk about being a girl dad and a boy dad, which is super fucking awful right now, because fascism. But yeah, I lost my job in the tech field 8 weeks, almost 2 months ago now, just about 2 months ago now, and I've been going through years of therapy. I do the emotional distress tolerance therapy, group therapy with the VA. I'm a disabled veteran, and so I use that therapy as a way to learn how to be a better person and learn how to heal myself and actually like myself again, which has really led to a lot of positive change. And now that I've been out of the tech field for the last few weeks, I've also seen how fucking disgusting that field really has become and how toxic it is. So I started Sick of This Shit with Nick. because I was sick of this shit and I needed to do something that wasn't destructive. So I wrote poetry. I leaned back on my musical training, and I've always liked writing. So I leaned into my poetry and I put it out there. I didn't really want or expect anything. Um, but I got a really good response, and it's the first time in over 6 years, because I was in the tech field for over 6 years. Really, the first time in over 6 years that I've had positive feedback for the work that I've done, um, compared to just being ignored or being put down or being laid more work on. As a reward, you get more work to do. It's been really nice to do something for myself. Um, it's not making a ton of money yet. I am running a sale right now. If you want to become a paid subscriber, I will happily take your money. I need it. My wife would be happy if we took some money in too. Um, but I am running a huge discount for if you do want to if you do want to become a paid subscriber. But I am also not only the host of the Sick of This show or Sick of This Shit with Nick, I open that up into a Sick of This pod, which is the podcast version of all the poems. That one is strictly the poems. I'm trying to get better about not putting out other content onto the RSS feed for that. That's supposed to be just the poetry and my interpretations of it, and what I talk about on them. And then I started the Sick of This show, because I like talking, but I wanted to talk to people. And my wife keeps telling me I need to make friends. So I was like, what better to do than make friends on the internet? But these
Yeah.
friends I can see, and these friends I know. And so I got lucky. A woman named Melissa Corrigan, she's a vet, a Navy vet, good friend of mine now. Jake, I don't know if you've met Melissa yet, but if you
Not yet.
haven't, we'll introduce you soon. She and
Yeah.
I have gotten to talk a couple times, and she's incredible. She got me linked in with Dana Dubois and Lawrence Winterman on Gen Xe, which is a morning show, daily morning show for Gen Xe like-minded people, for Gen X like-minded people, just that laid-back, like-minded mentality. They're incredible. Lawrence and I got to be really good friends, and Lawrence also introduced me to Frederick Pogue, who is a Marine veteran and a good friend of ours now, mine now too. And we started a network called Banner and Backbone this weekend. Um, and I know, Jake, you probably have some questions about Banner and Backbone, that you want to ask during this live. And I'm happy to talk about Banner and Backbone for a lot of it. But it's a civically minded, uh, Substack and publication that we put together to encourage and reinvigorate civics into like US mindset and remind people how easy it is and make the entry point into civics easy so that it's not this lofty thing that only politicians can do, because it's actually what civilians are and citizens are supposed to do. Civics is for citizens. Politics is for politicians. So we are trying to reinvigorate that with something that I call is RISE, which is restoring integrity, service, and ethics, into the American ethos. And we ran with it. And so we launched Banner and Backbone over this past weekend. It's expanding and growing with some contributors. It was all about the Epstein files and releasing the Epstein files, but demanding them in a way and showing people who we are as people and what we believe in. Jake was on with us for some time, met Shane Urich,
Yeah.
and yeah, this has been an incredible opportunity because I'm meeting people who are like-minded. I'm getting to interact with communities like the chat here, plus all my subscribers in the chats that we have on our videos. Like it's building something that I think we've lost, and people are talking in a way that's not mean and shitty to each other. And I love it. Um, and so I'm trying to get more people involved into it. Like Jacob. Like I asked Jacob to come onto my show because I wanted to get him back um into videos, but I also wanted to get him back into my life as a friend because he and I were friends while we were in the army. And I miss my bud. and I needed some friends, so I reached out. And,
That he knows how much I like to talk and rant. So, that's the hook, line, and sinker. So,
and Jake's someone, and you, buddy, you're someone. I know I say your name instead of having just talking to you some of the time is for the audience. Like Jake is someone also I could talk to, like as a man, I can actually open up to and talk with because he understands and he's gone through shit too. And I know a lot of the shit that he's gone through in the army. Um, and I saw him evolve in our unit and change into a a better person throughout the years. Um, you grew a lot in the army. By the time you left, I think you grew and you turned into who you are in a lot of ways, or you opened yourself up to who you are now. Um, and I think that's what I really liked about you back then, and I like about you now is you get to do that, and we get to do it together now in front of other people and just hang out. And I'm
hey,
cool with having public conversations because I got inspired by a show called The Lever that I listened to. A subscriber of mine sent it to me. I'm long-winded, by the way. In case everybody didn't notice, I like to talk. But a subscriber sent me a show called The Lever, and I've reached out to their host about it because I listened to it. It was about men's issues, and it was reframing that so that it wasn't a negative. It wasn't. There wasn't about like I'm a victim of anything. It was there's issues and we need to take responsibility. And I
mhm.
thought that was awesome. Um, and one of the things that he talked about was like Abraham Lincoln used to write what we would consider nowadays as gay love letters to his best friend and would say things like, my heart beats with yours and you are with me, like bonded as best friends. Like that's the type of thing I want to like be able to start encouraging others to do while we talk together in shows like this. Um, and where we actually get to show men that it's okay to be vulnerable and it's not a vice to have feelings.
Oh, no, not at all. Well, and I completely agree with you on all that. Before we go deeper,
Yeah.
but because I do want to frame that, you're talking about basically the coming back and growing together, having the ability to grow together. That is what this series of podcasts that I'll be doing anytime that I'm on live with somebody. It's an attempt to grow together. It's an attempt to sit there and go, hey, I'm working on trying to be the best version of me. How are you being the best version of you? How can I take notes from you? And how can you take notes from me? And sometimes it's just being in the presence of other people. One of my
Hmm.
longest running friends jokes that there's just something about my aura that I walk into the room and people want to lift heavy things or that they want to not be a douchebag. And
It's
so
that Captain America thing.
it's that Captain America aura. But no, that's the whole idea is that the companionship and friendship and community of people who are not just wanting to be better, but are trying to in some way. So with that in mind, as I fill it in Nick about afterwards, I'm gonna have to resist calling you Paro.
No,
Um,
you can if you want, dude.
but
I'll respond to it. You know that.
I respond to that bastard too. So
Yeah, I've
um
been called worse, like a
yeah, yeah,
fuckhead, like
yeah,
dipshit.
dipshit,
Hey,
all of them. But yeah, no. So with that in mind, as I filled in Nick in about beforehand, we want to make this two parts, not two videos, just unless Nick goes on for a while, in which case it could be two videos, and I'm okay with that. And
I do
um,
ramble.
yeah, I mean we both do. Monologue, monologue.
Monologuing. It's D&D logging.
It's yeah, it's the idea logging. So, but there's two parts to this. I want
Yeah.
to address your projects and how that makes you a better person,
Hmm.
and then if we got some time afterwards every this little things. I mean, they could be little things or big things, but things that you are doing in your life right now, to make you
Yep.
a better person, to pursue being a better person. You've talked a lot about why you got into your sick of this show, like a lot of the very real mechanics that got you to that point. But how two-pronged question for the first part, for the first
Yeah.
question. So the first question in two parts. First off, how is doing this, working on this show, making
Yeah.
you a better person, and how do you think that it makes other people better people? And the floor is back to you. Ramble,
Well,
rant, monologue as long as you want to.
great questions. And interrupt me too if you have questions, please.
Oh,
And I'll
absolutely.
stop so that
Well,
I'll also get off track. So
I'll just I'll raise the axe of talking right here if I have the point. So
the wand of
yeah,
shut up.
was it like the talking stick? This is my talking stick. Anyway,
See, I carry this. I keep this nearby.
I
And have I shown? Oh, I've never shown you these because you
Here's
haven't
my
seen it.
Viking cooking knife. It's basically like the it's got three
Here's
parts,
my
kind of like a
pokey
camping
throwy
stove.
knife. I've
I've
got
got
a
a whole
couple of these pokey throwing knives. Did you ever, so
I've
before we
this
get
whole
to the answers of these questions,
this
I
whole thing behind you, the first two drawers are filled with knives. Anyway,
nice.
continue.
Yeah. So, but while we get off track here for a second,
Okay.
I used to do the bespoke boxes.
Yeah.
That's where I got these from because it's a really cool set. It actually came with like three throwing knives and a target that I could like set up onto a board and stuff. I haven't set the target up for a permanent station, but it's neat. Like I got these because they're super, super cool. Um, but anyways, getting back on track.
Morgan, this is
Why,
part of a
what is,
camping set.
why,
Go ahead. Sorry.
why did I start this and what is like, why do I think
So,
it makes
how does it
me
make you a better person, and how does it make other people better?
okay? How does it make me a better person?
Yeah.
One of the things that I do a lot of is I go through emotional distress tolerance therapy through the VA. So I'm a disabled veteran. I came back from Afghanistan in 2016, I think it was 2015. I went in 2015. Wait, no, I went in 2014. Sorry. I went to Afghanistan in 2014, and I came back from it a very different person than I was before I left. I came back with a lot of anger issues. I had probably some traumatic uh, brain injury go on because I had a mortar shell somebody shot off a howitzer once, like 200, no, like 100 yards away from a truck that I was inside of. And we didn't have any exit points of air pressure and I whited out. I don't know if you've ever had that experience before. Um, but it was such an intense like sound overload that everything just went fucking white. Um, and we all came out of it. I was with a couple of other guys in the truck, like McCarley and I think Ramirez was there. I don't know if you remember them. Um,
I
um,
remember Ramirez. Yeah.
and we all came out of it and we were like, fuck, are we alive? Like, did you guys die? And the first sergeant there was so pissed off. Anyway, I digress. I came back a really, really different person than I was before I left. And I never really acknowledged that in all the ways I've needed to. And I've gone to anger management therapy before, but I do an emotional distress tolerance group therapy that I've done for about a year and a half, almost a year and a half now. I'm in round 3 of it. It's 6-month segments, and I've chosen to keep going. Like I graduated the first one, and I chose to keep going after that. I took a second segment and then I stopped when I was done. I stopped for a little while, took a break from it, and then I came back 2 weeks before I got fired. I started sessions again. I was like, something happened, and I was like, I just need to start again. I need to start sessions. And so doing Sick of the Shit, doing Banner and Backbone has made me, I think has made me a better person because I'm actually acknowledging the issues that are going on in my life. I'm actually talking about them and I'm opening up about them. And it's allowed me to open up at home a little bit too, in way or more than I have before, which is good because I need to. I also got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, officially diagnosed not too long ago. But almost a year ago now, like over a year ago now, year and a half, I think it was. So 2.5 years now, I've had fibro, um, roughly, and it fucking sucks. And so I got out of, I got, I lost my job, about 2 months ago now. And so, like I said, I started all this because of it. And why it's made me a better person is, like I said, I've opened up about my emotions. And I'm also doing something that's not, I guess, not considered like traditionally manly or masculine anymore. Like I'm not in the tech field anymore, and that's considered nowadays like a fairly masculine field to be in. Um, hey, Sonny, I'm glad you're here. Um, Sunny's one of my subscribers. Jake, if she hasn't followed you yet, she will or should.
Oh,
She's
I've seen,
Sunny's awesome.
I saw
She
this.
leaves incredible feedback and
I've seen a
me,
lot. I've seen a lot of
yeah,
their comments here on the videos, but on some of the other comments as well. So no, I like Sunny.
yeah,
I think Sunny and I have both been in comments positively and not really gone after. I've gone after people. I don't know that I've seen Sunny go after people, but I think I have. But I don't know. I love Sunny's energy. So
yeah.
I have noticed Sunny, and if I'm not following Sunny already, I'll fix that afterwards too. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
awesome. And so I think it's helped make me a better person because I'm starting to talk about these things. Like I'm starting to actually talk about what's going on and what's wrong. Um, in my life, and I'm starting to deconstruct the fact that for the last 6 years, we the tech industry basically forced me into a marriage style that I didn't want, where my wife became a homemaker and was forced to stay as a homemaker, not because I wanted her to be, because multiple times we tried um, to like I opened space so that she could, but it never fucking worked because the tech industry itself is poisonous and toxic and demands either full engagement or you're out. Like, so I was fully engaged. There were times earlier this year I was working 100 hours a week, um, with fibro, mind you, never getting any relief, never getting any extra support, always being promised more, but never actually getting any of it. Um, and now that this weekend really was where it hit me on why it's making me a better person because I fucking broke down and I had a complete like emotional dysregulation, and it hurt my wife in the process. Um, and I came out of it and I'm hoping she has forgiven me for some of it. Um, and that we're moving forward because I know we are. Because we've been a team forever and we're never going to not be a team. She's my best friend. Um, and I sort of broke down on like what's actually going on. And like, I felt like a failure for 6 years. I felt like I've been a failure because I never got to the point where I actually wanted to in the field because I kept getting held back. And I kept having to, at the same time, abandon everything that I actually wanted in my life, which were my kids and my wife. Um, and yeah, so I think it's making me a better person because I'm healing and I'm actually starting to be there for my kids and wife, in ways that I wasn't before. And I'm making it a priority. And I think it's making other people better because they're getting to hear the story while it happens and nobody else is interpreting it. And I get to talk with friends like you and friends like Fred Pogue or Lawrence Winterman or Dana Dubois or Melissa Corrigan or Ellie Leonard or Dean Blundell fucking today. Like we fucking talked to Dean Blundell today, dude. Like I didn't I never thought that shit was possible. I've talked to Fred Wellman twice. I've talked to Chris Goldsmith twice. Um, Friday, I get to talk to Tim Fullerton for the second time. He's on the Find Out podcast too. He's an incredible dude. Like, I've gotten to meet and talk to people that I'm doing something I never thought I would do, and I'm enjoying myself, and people seem to enjoy me. Um, and that's a really nice experience too, is people actually are giving positive feedback. Um, and it's really nice. It makes me feel really, really good. Um, and I think that's helping other people too, because we're also one of the big things we're also doing is we've focused our energy, and that's what Banner and Backbone is a focus of energy between Frederick Pogue, Lawrence Winterman, and myself are the co-founders of a network called Banner and Backbone. For those who do not know, it's just bannerandbackbone.com, all spelled out. That'll bring you to our Substack. Like I said, it's that civic minded stuff, but that was our merger of all of these things coming together where we feel like we can actually do action and push back because we all feel like we can't do something right now. And we wanted to make as Chris Goldsmith said, is make this entry point or the access point or the ease of access to civics or engagement as low as possible. So people, because we're all fucking busy, like we're all exhausted, people are overwhelmed, and that's for a reason. So they force you out of engagement of democracy, and democracy requires community and engagement. And I think we're trying to offer a way that people can easily enter the space, and then have resources to go further into that space and stay engaged after the entry point. And the entry bar is low. If it's easy to maintain engagement, you then want to do more of it. Like if it makes you feel good, you tend to do more of it. Um, and so that's what we're really trying to do, is create a space where people can feel good and want to do more of it. Like Banner and Backbone, all of the proceeds that we are making at this point are going to be donated and put towards litigation that will release the Epstein files or things around the Epstein files or find truth around the Epstein files and support pro-democracy efforts. Like that is it. We're not using that for profit for ourselves. It's all going to these um, systems. And I think that also helps make people feel better because you know that what you're doing is making an impact. And you know that who you're giving your money to is somebody who's going to then use it for what they say. We're trying to work to get Allison Gill on
Hmm.
a show. She hosts the Mueller She Wrote podcast, and she is opening litigation or has already opened litigation to get the training videos released on a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act request, for the training videos for the FBI agents who redacted Trump's name from the Epstein files. He wants to get those videos because one, that forces the administration to admit that they had to redact Trump's name from the Epstein files. What it also does is it gives us a peek on the inside of what they were looking for so that we can then piece those puzzle pieces back together and say, this is where he is. And what's underneath this redaction is here's roughly this piece of information we think would be there. We need to support litigation efforts so that she can get those because it's expensive. So Banner and Backbone we're working to try and work with her to do that. But we're also doing things like Melissa Corrigan and I are doing the Anti-Fascist Book Club that Chris Goldsmith has put together on um, the um, the veterans fighting fascism. Um, the Anti-Fascist Book Club is we're going to put something together as an online video or a live that we're going to do. And it's almost going to be like a book club and book reports for the anti-fascist books. Like what's on the list, we're going to do a little book report and then we're going to talk about it. Um, and I think it's uh, I think it's cool stuff that we can get to talk about and expose people to, and then people will want to do it with us. And hopefully we can get some folks to maybe co-author some pieces as part of it and enjoy and invite people in to be part of the discussion, not just in the chat, but also on lives. Like you read the book. Um, do you want um do you want to come on the live and talk about it? You've posted a book report. Like if we invited you on, like if you wanted to be a part of it, you could read the books, you write a piece on it, and if we like it, we ask you on, you're our new live guest for the night.
I
Things like
totally
that.
I totally don't read any books whatsoever. You can't even see
No,
the
you're not a
bookshelves.
reader?
Yeah, you totally can't see all the bookshelves over here
Yeah, ignore the books in the back.
that
Those
I
are
built
figments of your
that
imagination.
I built specifically to hold all of the ones that I don't read. So, yeah. Okay. Well, sorry, I was reading some of the comments real quick.
Yeah.
Um, well, so what I'm hearing from a lot of your I'm gonna use testimony for lack of a better word. I know that gets bogged down in biblical or legal senses, but it's still a valid word. So what I'm hearing from your testimony of how it's changed you is that it's basically when life has kind of changed for you, it has been about adapting to it, which has the additional hidden benefits of basically being able to shift your perspective and also guide you to go seek out not just to build the community that you want to see in the world, but to seek out the people that you know meant something to you. And
Hmm.
I can vibe with that because that's something I thought about on my 39th birthday. Not that everybody who didn't show up is, dead to me or anything like that, but like more like I did sit around and pay attention to, who all was invited versus, some people had shit
Hmm.
going on or whatever versus the people that never got back to me or they got back to like to late or whatever. Like I'm sitting here going like I'm not petty, but I am at the point where I am sitting back and paying attention to the people who show up in some form or fashion. And that's what your life changes kind of did for you and what that's done for me in the past with both getting out of the army and then with the loss of my brother. I basically went through that same phase of kind of paying attention to who's there, but
Hmm.
it also causes you to want to create the community that you want to see in the world, which not with all of these points will I tie it back to something in my own life, but where possible, I will
Yeah.
to see where there's correlations between people who are actively bettering themselves. And for me, that's exactly what I did with the gym was just trying to create the community that I want to see.
Yeah.
Um, it also
Be the change
changed,
you want to be, right?
yeah, being the change that
Or
you
be
want
the
to be.
change you want to see.
And the other big thing that the changes in your life brought to you doing this, which brought to you being a better person, is that it opened you up. You realized that if there was going to be any growth, there had to be vulnerability. You
Yeah.
had to open yourself up and talk. That strength is not found in some stoic, and I'm not making fun of stoicism because I love me some
No.
I love me some
Yeah.
stoicism. I've got spread my
I live stoicism half the time.
yeah, I was gonna say Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I've read it cover to cover. But true strength doesn't just come from it can come from multiple sources, but it doesn't just come from some stoic need to be this stone mountain up who sits here and doesn't let other people in and doesn't give himself to others. Like
Yeah.
part of strength is being willing to be vulnerable for multiple reasons. It helps to mold you into who you are, but it also allows other people in.
Yes.
And it makes people feel comfortable with you because if they see that you are approachable, if they can see that you're just like everybody else, not identical, just that you're not some uncracking god with a cape and a mask that's sitting up there, that they can approach you. They can see that
Hmm.
you bleed too. So part of growth is vulnerability. Part of growth is both finding the community that you've already have and creating the community that you want to be, but also being willing to not that cliche of roll with life's punches and move on, but to take the changes that are given to you and to try to make the best out of it. And at best is subjective because it's ultimately up to your willpower to decide which parts of those things you want to last. So,
Yeah.
does that seem about right? Mm.
Yeah. And to like open into that vulnerability, like let's just dive into it for a second, is I'm gonna drop a link for anyone who wants to go to it, is the poem that started this week. This was my Monday poem, and if you don't mind, I'll read it. It's not too long. I tend to keep
Go for it.
my
I
poem.
read it.
So
I read it. So
in
go for it.
general, thank you. In general, most of my poems are like sonnet form. Um, I keep it fairly structured and simple right now because I put out a poem a day. When I get to the point where I'm not doing that quite as often, maybe a little bit less than daily, um, I might start getting into longer form poetry if I'm going to do that. But right now, I like to um, keep it short. But this was the one that started the week. I wrote it not too long after having my mental anguish for the day on Sunday, where I did break down um, and exposed myself and talked about things and just sort of crumbled and needed to deconstruct. So this is about the tech industry and deconstructing that, but it's also about being really vulnerable and open to the fact that I feel like a failure, even though I'm not. I didn't fail. Like I didn't fail in my job. I was very successful at what I did as a software engineer. I'm
You can
still a
feel
very
like a
good
fail.
stock.
Yeah, you can feel like a failure and not be a failure. Trust me.
Yeah,
That is my daily existence with being a business owner. So,
yeah, yeah. And so I wrote this poem. So this is mostly you break. Holding your life at the edge of a knife, knifing right through with one word they undo. Undone by strife, unwinding your whole life. Lifeless they screw. It's just a big fuck you. Using you up, broken. Chewing you up, crumble. Spitting you out, fading. Wasting away, nothing. Broken to bits, yet always must you try. Crumble to dust, become the family ghost. Fading to smoke as you're lost to their eye. Nothing is left for those you love the most. Mostly you break, while in billions they rake. Mostly you break from the life force they take.
you're right.
And so that was mostly you break. And that one was really, really hard to write. Um, and I was pretty dried up after it. But one of the things you said is one of the big things that I've realized in all of this. Um, and it's something that my individual therapist and I talk about because I have a group therapy and I keep an individual therapist at the VA. And um, one of the things that he talks about a lot is called sphere of influence. And you said it really well as those who you can impact. And we wanted to make change for those we can impact. And one of the biggest impacts I think I can make is one, make myself vulnerable, because then that allows my son to see what it looks like to be vulnerable and what manhood really is and masculinity really can be. And that masculinity, like Jake, you said, is about learning and about progressing and about protecting and defending and all of the things that we associate it with. But how can you defend and protect someone or something that you love if you don't care enough to learn about it and know how to protect it? Like,
Yep.
I can't offer the right type of protection if I don't know about it. And that type of protection or defense sometimes means I need to step out of the way.
Well,
And
and
and I learned that this weekend. That was, I think, what I really, really learned is I need to get out of the way because the tech world has taught me that I'm the most important or force fed into the mind that my needs have to outweigh everybody else's because they had to for the last 6 years for me to keep a job, but they don't. And I'm learning to be house dad because I want to be. And I'm learning how to do the things or retake over the things that I used to do and enjoy, and then take over the things that my wife had to do so she doesn't. And so that she can actually go do a job and build a business and be incredible and amazing at what she wants to do. And I think I don't need to be the one who does it all. And I think I
right.
learned that. And that's the lesson that I think a lot of men and boys need to hear is so I want to do that. Like I want to create a space where men can be vulnerable and progress and talk with each other is I want my son to see it so that he can be modeled like nature and nurture. Like I want him to be in a space where men are vulnerable and that's okay. Because right now we're taught that you can't be.
And that's a lot of what you hit on. I like to describe it as traditional masculinity, and I'm not trying. Nothing I ever say is to hate on what somebody chooses. If they choose a traditionally masculine appearance, persona, whatever, and I like to call it persona because it's just like furries. It's a fursona. Like you choose, it's your cosplay. It's your cosplay identity. Unless you're being exceedingly true to yourself, it's that image that you put out to the world. But especially with ones that are dated that people continue to choose. But if your choice is traditional masculine and that's not hurting anybody, then fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But the traditional masculinity I liken to glass armor versus actual armor. So glass armor,
Mhm.
it's really pretty to look at. It's nice to see on the battlefield. It'll be shining in the sun. It's vulnerable as fuck. It's
And
also
it
gonna
makes you a big ass target.
yeah, it's pretty, but it makes you vulnerable as fuck and a big ass target. Also, it's gonna be uncomfortable. Also, you're not gonna fit into it just right, and it's gonna cut at your edges all the time. And then
Mm.
you're gonna have to be very careful about taking it off, lest anybody see you bleed taking it off. And then you're gonna have to put it on display so that like it doesn't get any scratches or dust or smudges in between. Whereas real masculinity is that metal armor or leather armor looking around at all my Viking shit, is that metal or leather armor that you put on that it's got its holes in it, obviously, where you could get stabbed. It's got its rust and its dust, but it's real and
Mhm.
it's effective and it's functional and you're not having to be some pretend to be somebody else to put it on. And then you can take that shit off around the people that matter the most to you and not have to wear it all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and so
And go building on that, you can help them let you put it back on because real armor takes more than one person to put on. And
exactly.
so you have to be vulnerable, like
Yeah,
to let people in.
and that's part of it. So be being so
Like
masculine.
let's talk about think about it from the army perspective. From
Yeah.
our army perspective, we helped each other all the time. We had a brotherhood, we had a sisterhood, we had an otherhood, we had a hood. We were a gang, whatever you want to call us, but we were a force that no matter what your political views up until recently, um, it didn't matter. You trusted the person next to you because they were vulnerable with you and you were in the most vulnerable situations together. And I put on my friends' armors.
Yep.
Like you help each other put that shit on. You make sure you're doing it right. You make sure the back of their armor has the clips fucking fed through properly or that it's woven properly so the things don't fall off
You can't
and they're
even
in
get
place. Then you snug them down with each. You can't do it
you
alone.
can't even get rigged into your airborne gear without having the rigger right there to get you into it. And
Yeah.
so I guess maybe I can amend that to say that, false masculinity is like SWAT gear that you can buy off of Amazon. And
Yeah. As ice gear.
yeah, and real masculinity is that armor that you're willing to be vulnerable long enough to trust somebody else to help you strap into. But all of that is to say is that like Re I hate using gender stereotypes whatsoever. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not denying that there is a masculine and a feminine. As somebody who believes in the woo-woo stuff as well, there's the divine masculine and the
I think that's I
divine
think that's
feminine.
almost
Go
sorry, I
go ahead.
interrupted.
No, go
I
ahead.
think that's almost just a language barrier thing, to be
It's a
honest, because
it's
I
a
think languages are just right now masculine and feminine, and they haven't evolved to
right.
be more neutral.
But all that is all I completely agree. All that is to say is that as somebody who believes in the woo-woo stuff, there's also the divine masculine and feminine, and that usually breaks down into not strictly, but for example, defensive and offensive, aggressive and passive. And so all of that is to say is that if you're going to be your true self, whether or not you identify as masculine or feminine, a component of that has to break down into that it's not a clean separation of if I'm feminine, I'm vulnerable, and I'm masculine, I'm not. There's an overlap in the first place, but the hardest masculinity, the hardest femininity, the hardest anything is all about being you and being willing to be open to the universe, others, but specifically you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to be your most masculine, ask the tough questions, baby, and be willing to accept if that question says that you're comfortable in gold booty shorts or you're comfortable in going and eating, three 12-ounce steaks, medium rare or bloody. But the most masculine, the most feminine is being vulnerable to the universe, being vulnerable to others, and being vulnerable to you. That doesn't mean weak to the universe, others, or you. It means letting down that armor long enough to be receptive to the things that might change you and not being convinced, not telling yourself that if you are receptive that that's going to change you in a negative way. If your masculinity, if your self-image cannot withstand some change, erosion, error, positive changes, then it's not true in the first place. So, yeah.
And like Sonny just said something in the chat is I feel like I'm both, and it's a good thing for me. I don't fit into a role play. I actually think it's really funny you said role play because it's the armors that we put on or the masks that we wear, depending on what terminology you want to use, or what your therapist has talked with you about, and how we frame things is we kind of do role play at times. Like we've gotten really good at role playing, and one of the things that I think I've found being on here is I don't have to role play. I can, like you said, I can be the Nick that's underneath the all the stuff. Um, and people get to hear me talk about it.
The only time that I will say that, not the only time, I hate absolutes. Only a Sith deals in absolutes, which the Jedi say, but that's an
Which is
absolute
an
statement.
absolute.
That's an absolute statement itself. So fuck the Jedi.
Yeah, so the
Anyway,
Jedi are Sith, aren't they?
the Jedi are the Roman Catholics of the Star Wars universe. Anyway, so for any Catholics in the chat, sorry, not sorry, I'm willing to have that conversation with you. Debate me on live. I'll go for it. There's zero hate and all willingness to cross over a debate between nerdy and politics and religion. Anyway, I have just invited a fellow enemy in the future. Anyway, so
Hey, shit happens, man.
what the fuck were we talking about right before that? Absolutes. What did you say
Um,
right before that?
bro, you're asking the wrong person. Oh, I was talking about Sonny's comment about role playing.
Oh yeah. So first off, yes, as I am somebody that feels way more feminine up here than I feel masculine. And Nick was talking earlier about having seen my growth in the army as a human being, not as well as a soldier, sure, but also as a human being. And a lot of what was happening during that time was that process of thinking. I do identify as gender fluid, but that honestly had nothing to do with it. I and I'm not somebody who goes around going, I identify as, and I'm not making any fun of anybody who does, but it's not like that for me. Just never given two shits about genders. And that started to realize, to really solidify during the time that I spent more time around Nick, is that I realized that my brain is not locked into either of those. As Morgan said, not female or male, feminine or masculine, but I really began to tap into that side of my brain. But what I was going to say is on the absolute statement is that one of the few times that I don't roll my eyes at gender role play is when it comes to wearing different or role play in general as to how we present ourselves is when it comes to wearing different hats. There's a difference in whether you role play because that's how you want the whole world to see you versus if you're just wearing a different hat for what you're doing that day. Am I in the manager hat? Am I in the coach hat? Am I in the husband hat? Which isn't even a hat because the husband is role is so closely tied to who I am. That's not a hat, but I do have to take off the other ones in order to be that one more effectively.
Yeah.
Um, So we all role play to an extent, but what you want to do is try to minimize as much time as you are having to artificially role play and really just allow all of those different hats you have to put on to be extensions of yourself just in different capacities. So anyway, sorry, that was
Yeah.
a long-winded rant.
No, I think it's great because it brings like I said in the chat back to Morgan was because she was saying being female, I don't say feminine as well as strong has never been a conflict for me. And I agree on that. Like strength isn't a gender specific it doesn't have a gender in language anyways. At least in the English language, it's neutral. Like it's not specifically male or female. And I think that's good. I think we should use that. And I think we should lean into things where we break down, because right now we're fighting against generations of millennia of patriarchy that we're like subconsciously fighting against.
Yeah,
Maybe it's time that we do kind of gender some words just to add emphasis to them
yeah.
to almost fight the other side, but also because it's true is I think strength should more be associated with women than men more often than not. Like like what is the most fundamental thing that they always talk about what women can do, which is give birth.
Right,
I can't fucking do that. I could
right,
not imagine trying to do that. Like,
right.
that is a strong ass fucking thing to do. And I was there when my wife gave birth. I was in the room. I saw my child be born for a reason, and she did something stronger than I could ever do. So, mass strength is feminine to me because it exudes what women can do. And if that's what they think, well, then women are stronger than men.
Well, and you see, that's the problem for me is that I have. So I'm going to try to keep this short, and then I'm going to give you some time to give me one thing that you do in your daily life to be better. I might
Okay.
just have you on for an entirely second podcast because
Oh, fuck yeah.
both of us hate talking on video,
Yeah. It's
um, and
boring,
being
isn't it?
vulnerable to the entire internet.
Yeah.
My trademark that I share with a million or 1,000 other people on a daily basis since like 2016. Um, but that's one of the reasons that I have such an issue talking about when it comes to talking about gender and gender roles is that sex is biological, gender
Mhm.
is a construct, and gender
Yes.
is psychological. So it's not to say that there isn't some root of gender in your brain. I'm using my camping knife right now. Anyway, so it's not to say that gender isn't also in your brain, but gender is psychological, learned, and societal. There is an argument for a handful of things that would accompany your biological sex with your gender expression. But for the most part, 95% of shit that is supposed to be hardwired gender wise just isn't. So when
Yeah.
we talk about these things and people want to talk about gender and sex and I try to separate the two, I usually from the liberal side will get yeah, okay. And then from the
Mhm.
conservative side I'll get the like
No, that's not
like
biology.
their brains smoking thinking about that.
Yeah,
And
it's
it
the wheels are turning, but nothing is moving.
and every time that somebody wants to say that, like, look at me like that's just some liberal nonsense, that's some woke bullshit. I want to be like, okay, here's one for you. I'm gonna make up a bullshit percentage because I don't actually know the percentage, but 90% of I honestly argue closer to 100% of beauty products were not made for women.
High
Most
heels
of
weren't.
most of them were made for men. High heels were not. Corsets were not. Lipstick was not. Wigs were not. Hell, even skirts were not. Somebody
Oh,
fact checked.
even the freaking Scottish still wear them. They just call them kilts.
Yeah, and somebody fact checked that on me on that because I know I'm right. So all of these things were not created for women.
Mhm.
And they were created for men because humans, just like in the animal kingdom, it was widely accepted for a while that men were the peacocks of our current structure. And so if you can sit there and take and go, okay, but women are supposed to wear makeup and women are supposed to be in the kitchen and women are supposed to raise the kids. No, really, the only part of your gender expectations that you listed off have anything to do with sex and biology, which is that women are the only ones currently physically capable of bringing a child into this world. We'll see what happens in the next 100 and 150 years. Clearly, Putin had an orange baby, so the science is out there.
I think he
But I
pushed
mean,
that piece of shit out of his ass, though.
but there's only one part of that, your gender stereotypes that are true, and we can go and that was the bringing the kid into this world. We won't go into the fact that on a lot of cultures that men were actively part of the child rearing and process, like trying to make sure
Hmm.
that they brought up, and or that it was the entire community. It takes a village, but if your most of your expectations are hinged upon that the women are supposed to look a certain way, that we consider feminine, everything that you consider a feminine look was meant for men in the first place, because also you assume that women are supposed to appeal to men when historically, for the majority of humanity's entire existence, it was the women who had to, or the men who had to catch the women. So all of that is to say is that gender norms are dumb. They change
They
on a
are.
they change on a regular basis, anywhere from a generation to longer. And so if you're hooking your expectations on gender stereotypes, you're gonna be so fucking disappointed. Like your Bud Light can's gonna change a couple times in the next century or two. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. Like the whole idea of like
I'll show you my
gender
shiny leathers, Morgan. Anyway, continue.
the I think the whole idea of the gender stereotype, like I was talking about earlier, is we need to encourage men to be vulnerable again, because that's fucking what we used to do, and it was okay when we did that, and maybe we should do more of that and let people who are good at what they do in other areas, no matter what gender. Walter Ryan, a buddy of mine, says it really well, is if you exclude half of a population, you cannot get the best. Period. Hands down. You cannot get the best of the best without men need to peacock again. Like that's what men were good at. Like every other species, men don't do shit in most of the species other than peacock at women and fuck each other. Men,
Yeah.
the men. It's
That's what
it's like we all forget like Spartan society. Women had to allure to their husbands by shaving their heads and having sex with them in the dark so that they would think they were with their brother in the army again. Like, let that sink in. You think
you
the Spartan men, the most manly of men that we can think of, were probably mostly all gay.
you see, and that
Alexander the Great was gay.
you see, that's what I laugh about is that the whole concept of I need to be this to appeal to women. I'm like, homie, you haven't paid attention to what a woman wants and for fucking ever, because everything you're doing that you consider peacocking is just appealing to other guys. It's either
Yeah,
appealing to men who are actually gay, or it's appealing to your brothers, your bros, your guy friends that swear they're not gay, but they're the first one to notice when, you have your Joe Rogan medium shirt on over your mediocre pecs. So,
yeah,
because I promise I've got better pecs than any of the people who are talking about that shit. But yeah, you claim that you don't care about gender stereotypes or sexuality, but you understand the concept of peacocking. You just don't understand the concept of getting any input or feedback from the sex that you were trying to attract. So if you don't care enough to get that input, then really you only care about the peacocking you're doing. And if you know that the peacocking you're doing is only attracting a certain type, then homie, I've got a lesson for you and a hard truth. You're more into men than you think you are, and we're not against that. But
yeah. It's
you're gonna
okay,
have a
dude.
hard
Like,
time
just fucking
accepting that in
accept it.
bro therapy. So yeah.
Yeah, like that's one of the things like I love having Lawrence as one of my friends and co-hosts in a lot of shows, because you know what the most manly thing you can do is you can go have sex with your dude friend during the middle of a football game, right? Like, who doesn't want a blowjob during the middle of a football game? Like, that's what gay dudes can do with each other. Like, fuck, man. Like, you guys are already half there. Like, you guys, you guys are already there. It's okay. It's like nobody cares. It's normal and okay and accepted. Like, that's the thing is gay people. What I've realized is people who are gay, people who are bi, because I would be bi, like consider myself bi if not like pansexual. Like, I don't care what your sexuality is really. Like, it's about your mind and who you are and what you like bring to the world. But like, dudes, guys, it's fucking okay. Like, nobody cares. Most of us just want people just want to come into like the world and not have to defend their existence. And if you just admitted you were okay with it and like you were there, you wouldn't have to fight them and you could just not have to ask other people because you'd be like, oh shit, it's normal and I don't have to ask other people and ruin somebody else's fucking day because I'm a bigoted piece of shit because I'm so homophobic because I just want to suck my dude friend's dick during the middle of a football game and I won't let myself do it and I won't let mine get sucked during the middle of the same fucking football game because I'm just a little too homophobic as a dude because I was raised in a church that said homophobia was gay and I bought into that bullshit patriarchy and fuck that.
No, I completely agree. I will say one more thing, and then I'm going to give you a second to, like we talked about, the question, because I do have to. I am on a little bit of a timetable.
Yeah,
Um,
I do too.
so,
I have something I got to get to here soon.
but I will say that, and that I firmly believe that if we were to, I do not want to revert to telling people how they can worship, or how they can believe or whatnot. But if we destabilized, the concept that if we destabilize the church structure in this country to basically say back down to what us pagans and omnists have to do, which is to go pardon me, which is to go find a small circle of other people who believe as we do or close enough to what we do that we can get together and have coffee or tea or go, have a
Make a
fire.
community.
Yeah, go have a fire circle and it still feel way less cultish than going to church. Then
Hmm.
we could destabilize it back to where anybody who wants to believe in something, it's because they want to believe in something, and basically make it so that religion is something that you have to choose at a certain age and then pursue it, then I have no problem with it because then they would be okay with it.
Yeah.
But the right now religion, as institutionalized as it is and inseparable from our government structure, makes it so that we get people like that because at the root of everything you're talking about is this whole thing that basically these people are repressing every part of themselves so hard that that's why they get angry at other people is first off they're taught that they're the enemy, second off
Hmm.
when they can get past that psychologically they realize that those people are getting to live their true lives while they aren't able to, and the only thing that causes that type of repression is decades, at least the first 18 years of being told that everything about that is wrong, evil, and bad, when if you were and the only thing that causes that is institutionalized religion. Whereas if we were simply able to make it so that it was far less centralized and it was something you had to choose as either a teenager or adult and pursue, you would have much more of a brain to be able to comprehend that and make those choices of your own.
Yeah.
Um, Morgan, I'm actually full disclosure. I am part of two different pagan circles, but the most recent one is a pagan circle that is an extension of the Unitarian Church. I formed my own kindred here in town with a friend of mine, but we have a Unitarian Church here who has specifically invited those of us who are pagan, omnist, or just not Christian, to come in and form our own group. And we have had at least three events now that I know of, that I'm part of. So when you say Unitarian, I vibe with it. I support it. I love it entirely. So, all right. So in the interest of both of our timetables, because both you and I are busy men, both busy talking and busy living, um, one thing. Give me one thing that you do in your everyday life. It can be big or small. Yeah, it's called cups. Morgan, the centralized unit, whatever, pagan, whatever. So it's a Unitarian pagan stuff. CUUPS. But give me one thing, big or small, that you do in your everyday or weekly or monthly, hopefully not past that, life that you are doing to try and be a better human being. And it could be anything from waking up and, at 3:33 in the morning, like all these broadcasters talk about, to taking a cold shower that alternates between hot and cold, to tea, to meditation, to going out for a jog, to collecting your Lulu boos, whatever the fuck they're calling these things these days. Like, give me Give me one thing that people can take away from this that they might can apply to their lives, habit or a practice that you're working on to make yourself a better human being. And now I'll shut up.
Um, no, thank you. One, first, thanks, Jacob, for inviting me on. I really appreciate the time to hang out with you and be a little vulnerable, but also just to hang out and catch up too and get
No
to know
problem.
each other again. Um, Over a decade that we need to catch up, which is perfect because we need it. And so one of the things, so thank you for coming on, also letting me on, but also thank you everyone who comes into the chat and talks about things and shares and is encouraging with each other and is building this community, because that's really the purpose of this, is to build a community in a digital world where we need communities, but one that just doesn't suck. Um, and so, one thing I do every day and that I would pass on to others to try and do every day is write something down. Try and write or create something small, as I always try. I write poetry every day. And that's the reason I do it, is so that I can heal, so that I can process emotion, so that I can write about something that impacted me during the day and unpack and unwind. I write towards the end of the night or the end of the day so that I've got a full day of things to think about. And I write a poem a day. But for other people, poetry might not be your thing. Journal. Write a little bit in a journal. Write. Don't, or speak, but speak something aloud in a way that I say write because it forces me to actually put it down into words, um, rather than just internalizing it. You have to do it aloud. Um, so yeah, it's freeing. And so I think everybody, my advice is everybody should write at least once a day about something important to them in that day, be it a journal, be it a poem, be it a song, be it a book that you're writing. Just write once, try and get one sentence if you have to, or even one word. Just figure something out. I don't say write in volume, like don't write hundreds of words or set word goals. That was something somebody told me early on, was don't set a word goal, don't set a word count. It's just write a little bit. Just write a little bit to share for yourself, and it gives you a record that you can look back on and grow from. And like my poetry, I'll look back and I go, oh, I wish I had used a different word here, but I'm not going to change it now because that would be wrong. Um, on this poem is I don't want to alter this one, but now I know how to do something better. And I learn from each of my writings so that I have something that I can take away from it. So I guess my two pieces of advice and the things that I do daily is I try and learn something new, be it small or big, learn something new, and I write just a little bit.
Okay.
And that's me. And that's what I do. And where I write all my stuff down is on Substack. And I don't do a paywall for any of it because I think knowledge is power and knowledge should be free. Um, I do the NPR model for myself. So I do take pledges and donation or subscriptions. I would love a founding subscriber at some point, like one or two of y'all would, if you ever want to be founding subscribers. Where that offer one, that one is I promote a little bit, and I'll promote towards you, not at you, Jacob, but towards you in terms of like friends or others you may know who are interested in poetry, is the offer I do for founders. And in case this is something you may be interested in doing for founders, if you want to do that too, is um, because it's an annual founding amount, is I'm going to write an annual poem for that individual, for the founder specifically, and dedicate a podcast episode to them. Um, not as a guest, unless there's someone who's willing and has a story that, and I'm most likely, if you're going to be a founder of mine, you're most likely going to be aligned with what I'm talking about pretty closely. So that you may end up being a guest, but it would be a poem and a podcast annually for founders. I think giving people something back for what they are giving to me is meaningful.
Do
Um,
you do you have the founding member subscription up on there?
mhm. Yeah, I do a $200 founding membership or more. Um, so anyone who wants to pay me 200 or more a year um, for to be a founder, I mean, I'd love it, but I don't ever, I don't really ask a lot for things like that. I do ask for like, hey, come be a paid sub. I've got my um, discounts going and stuff like that. But really, I'm here to heal myself and hopefully heal some others along the way. And there's a big old vacuum of emptiness on the progressive side that needs to be filled with beautiful with voices that actually care and beautiful voices like Jacob's, where people want to hear what they have to say, not because they're tricking them into hearing it, but because this stuff is interesting.
Yeah.
And so thank you for inviting me on so that I could have interesting conversations because I enjoy them.
Well, I am currently digging through to find your founding member one. I don't see it on there, but I'll find it later. So if you get one founding member, don't be shocked.
Oh,
Um,
Jacob, I really truly appreciate that a lot, brother.
well, I still have to find it, but if you send it to me, let me know. In the meantime, I'll dig around for it.
Okay,
Um,
it should. So for anybody for things like that, if you are a subscriber, because I like giving information. Information is not is power. Is if you go to say my page and you want to upgrade, is you should be able to click on like whatever drop down there is to open your menu, and it'll say manage subscription.
yeah.
And that should bring you to a page that will let you set your subscription type. Um, it also should be where you can set your type if you want to not receive podcasts or like if you don't want to receive new episodes by email or things like that, you can set that to um uh, you can set that to like not no emails and stuff like that. So for those who want to know, I like giving away knowledge because knowledge is power. But I appreciate everyone. Jake, I appreciate you a lot, brother. You're if you're looking for an example of what a good like traditionally masculine looking male is, but maybe not acting, Jacob is is someone who that is. So
Externally so, internally way less so.
and if you're one
Um,
of my subscribers here and you're not subscribed to Jacob yet, I would definitely encourage you to.
and
Um,
vice versa. I know that's a lot less likely on my end, but if you're one of my subscribers and not paying and not subscribing to Nick, you need to. Although a good
yeah.
chunk of mine have come from being on your lives. So,
Hey,
um,
I want everybody to succeed because we rise together.
hey. All right, so yes, as Sonny said, I do want to get on your book club as soon as you get that started.
Yes.
I might even have some suggestions for your book club. But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up now, just because we are men of a certain timetable, and occasionally we have to hydrate and eat and or sleep and or take care of miniature dogs. So thank you, Nick, so much for coming on the podcast. This will not be the last time that you're on mine or the last time that I'm on yours. Mine is basically
No,
just
definitely not.
mine is with yours is definitely just a case of, hey, when do I have the time to come on it?
Yeah.
But go follow Nick. Just click on his name and follow him. And Nick is an absolute ally, friend, lovely human being. I might write him some gay bromance love letters now that I know he's receptive to it, and it's like, I miss you with all the fire of a thousand burning suns.
Only
Um,
if you're going to do that, I ask only that you do it as a public post on your Substack
oh,
because I'll do the same back if you do.
come on.
Or I may do one just to start the trend. Like we can do these to start the trend. Like that's cool. I'm
No,
fine with that.
I can absolutely do that and would totally do that, and you know I would. But
Oh hell
yes,
yeah.
um, yeah, so, yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everybody for watching. Sorry that I was able to respond to less comments. I'll work on that next time. And I'm shooting to be back on to have another podcast episode sometime next week. And maybe you'll see me on Nick stuff before then. So
Yeah.
love you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on. Love you all for being here and watching and commenting and engaging. So
Thanks, Jacob. Thanks, everyone, too. Appreciate it, y'all.
bye.
Bye.